Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll learn Masechtas Sotah daf Tes Vav. We are going to begin on the very last word of Yudal Medbeis. Umalehu, as we continue to Tes Vav Amud Aleph, Umaktiru B'Kli Sharis. So it discussed the proceedings of the flower offering, the mincha offering, and it says that they would take it and they would burn it and put it into a kli sharis. Now, b'kli sharis maktir. It's actually, I struggled with the language. Is that we're actually going to be maktir and bring it up on the mizbech with the kli sharis? That's what it sounds like, which of course is not possible. And Rashi furthermore says v'hachi kakashile maktir sagadatech v'hadayin lo malcha. You haven't salted it yet. So you bring it with a kli sharis in order to do the hakdara, which means you will also need to salt it. You salt it and you put it on the fire. It has to be with salt. So the kamitza, which is scooped up with the three middle fingers, that is what is burned on the mizbech. However, all the leftovers in the first kli sharis is eaten by the kohanim. So menolan, how do we know not only are they able to eat it, but they can also add other things to it, like honey. Dechsiv v'hikter hakoyin es askaras v'gaimer, that the kohen is maktir the kamitza. And then it says Hanasaris, that which is left over min mincha, Aaron Levanav. It says that it will go to Aaron and his children. Karav a kaimitz, when it's your makar of the kaimitz, Lamar kid islay, Lamar kid islay. What does that mean? So Rashi says, Karav a kaimitz the katani demata shirayim bachila. Once you're makar the kataris, at that point, and only then, are you allowed to eat the shirayim. When do we say it's considered to be brought lahater shirayim, that now you could eat the leftover flour? Rav Yochanan could islay mishatitze saor berubo, when the fire catches hold of most of it, as we're going to see more now. Rav Chanina mishat lashoit boy ve'afilim at, even if it's a small amount of fire. So that's the dispute, which we're going to see. Market Islay, did more we learn like this. Hakaimitz me'amasi mati shirayim bachil. When you eat the shirayim, so Bachanina Oimer mishatishloit boyhor, when the fire grabs hold of it. Rav Yochanan Oimer mishatitsas haor berubo, when it's engulfed in the majority of it by fire. So my time, this is where the question is: how do we know that they can add these things to the shirayim? So Merkra l'mashcha, that it is says Rashi Gabi matnas kahuna. When it comes to the gifts to kohanim, it says achan satim l'mashcha. It'll be like for anointing. L'gedola kederach shemalachim oichem. So it means that it should be done and eaten in the way that malachim will eat, which means they will eat it together with other sweetening agents, including wine, oil, or honey. Ve'ein asurin ela mila chametz. Dechsev lo siafeh chametz chelkam. The only thing that's usher is for it to become leavened, because it says that you should not bake it as chametz. Says Rashi, afil chelkam. Even the shirayim, says Rashi, lo siafeh chametz. That should not be chametz either, not just the kataris, but even the shirayim. Amar Rav Shimon ben Lakish, afil chelkam, even their portion, namely the shirayim, lo siafeh chametz. Kol menachos chulu. So almost all the menachos, rather, there is oil and levina. However, not by the minchas, not by the minchas kanais, not by the Sotah. Gemara asks, what do you mean? B'chol menachos tuna shemen levina. You're saying all menachos require shemen, oil, and frankincense. V'ika minchas chayte. Derachmana aimer lo yasam leha shemen v'yitan leha levina. Even a minchas chayte, it should. We shouldn't sweeten it up because they're sinners. So therefore, there's no oil, there's no frankincense. So Hachikamer. This is how we understand this. Kol menachos te'una shemes u'lavaina. Most menachos, or all mincha offerings, they require oil and frankincense. Uvois menachit, and comes from wheat. Uvois silas, or it comes from, again, fine flour. Minchas chayte avobi she'eno te'una shemen u'lavaina. It's true. They also, minchas chayte, there is no oil, there is no frankincense. Nonetheless, ba menachitin, it still comes from wheat, uba silas. And it also has to be like fine flour. Minchas ha'omer, avobi shehi ba menachas even comes from barley, te'una shemen u'lavaina, uva geras. It's, we do require for the minchas ha'omer, even though it's made out of barley, that it has to have oil and frankincense, and also has to come from like a finer flour. V'zuba, by the side the inu te'una lo shemen v'lavaina, nothing. Uva minchas ha'omer comes from barley, va kemach, and it comes from a coarse flour. So that's the explanation. Tanya. Fine. Tanya. Omer Shimon bedinhu shehei minchas chayte te'una shemen lavaina. The truth is that even minchas chayte should have these things. Shehei chayte nisker. Why should we say, as Rashi, hakil b'minchasai? Why should we be more lenient in the ingredients? Yos misharim menachos. After all, he sinned, so why should we be more lenient? So why not? So karbano muhuder. We don't want his carbon to be beautiful. Therefore, even though it's true, why should we make it cheaper for him? But we actually want to show that it's not a beautiful thing because he was a chayte. Ubedin, who technically speaking, shtehi chatas chaylev te'una nesachim. The truth is that technically a chatas chaylev. Give me a second. So make sure that there's a question over here. Yeah. The truth is, a chatas chaylev. This is going to be question TA 25. Im chatas chaylev chatas mitzayra chatas nazir tu'unin nesachim. So this is going to be right here. I only got half credit. So let's see. So technically, the chatas chaylev tu'unin nesachim should shelo yehi chayte nisker, because we don't want, again, because it's a chatas chaylev, you violated something b'shaygus, you're bringing carbon chatas. So why is it that there's no nesachim, there's no libations, there's no wine libations that accompany it? This is Rashi says nesachim soilus mincha v'yisaron lekeves yain v'shem and revius ahin kamo shemakriven the oil shlomim from oil shlomim. We have all these different nesachim. Nema eno tu'unin. So why, when it comes to a chatas chaylev, that there is no nesachim, shlo yehi karbano muhuder, because we do not want the carbon to be muhuder. Question TA 25. Im chatas chaylev tu'unin nesachim, and the answer for that is chatas chaylev is not tu'unin nesachim, but that's only 1/3 of the question. That's TA 25. However, when it comes to the chatas of a mitzayra, and an asham does require nesachim, because it doesn't come due to a sin. The reason why people get saras is because they sinned. So hasam minigiyahu diachaper. The saras is machapele. That's what would atone him. Kimaisi carbon. Therefore, once he already starts bringing karbanos, lishturi bekachimhu de kamaisi. It's only being brought in order to allow him to eat kachim. El miata chatas nazir. So we should say that the same thing. Maybe a chatas nazir tehei tu'una nesachim lafi she'enu ba al chet. So savar karbalazar kapper diamond nazir nami chaytihu. So therefore, this answers up all of our questions. That when it comes to a chatas chaylev, there is no nesachim. When it comes to a chatas nazir, also it does not tu'una nesachim because it comes from sin. But the chatas mitzayra is tu'una nesachim. Okay, Rabbi Gamliel. Let's look at question 5. So we know, again, one was the minchas chayte, which we just saw, and also minchas Sotah. Okay. Minchas chayte, what do you mean? A chatas is an animal, but if it's an ani, if it's a poor person, so minchas chayte, there's no shemen oil bina. Rabbi Gamliel oimer kashem l'chul. So Tanya Omer lehen Rabbi Gamliel chachamim seifrim hanichuli v'adrashenu. The seifrim leave me and I'll darshan. Kamin chaymer, says Rashi. What's kamin chaymer? Botin, like a button. V'hu shel zahav, it's gold. V'chaytmin by shnei tzavari cholok l'noi, and you like seal two sides of the neck of the shirt for beautification. So, what is this? So let's continue on Tesvavim and base. The Shamli Rameir the Kaimer he achilasai ma'adne oilam. So since she consumed delicious food, or because she caused him maybe to eat from delicious foods, lafika karbana meichel behema. Armalei hatenech ashira. I can understand a wealthy person, ania, but if she's poor, she didn't eat delicacies, so why does she bring meichel behema? Malcolm Emer el kashem shemasa masa behema kach karbana meichel behema. Since her actions were that of an animal, so therefore she brings ma'isa behema. She brings meichel behema, that of barley. Says next Mishnah. Masnisan haymevi piyoli shelcheres. So the Kohen will bring piyoli. Rashi says kaishel mayim, a cup of water, and it's of earthenware. V'noisen lo socha, and it's put into this earthenware vessel. Chatzi loig mayim min akior, a half a loig of water from the laver. Ksiv, as Rashi quotes the pasuk, mayim kedoshim. Ben kedoshim el shtiskadshu b'kli. So this is actually water that was already kodesh b'kli. Rabbi Yehuda im revius. Actually, it's not a quarter, not a half of a lug, but rather he holds it's less. It's only a quarter. Geshem shemamayit b'ksav, just like the words written on the scroll will be minimized. We'll see this later on in a couple daf from now. That Rabbi Yehuda holds that the ksav is less. Kach b'mayim. Also, when it comes to the water, we don't have the chatzi lug, but rather only revius, a quarter. Nechnas lahechel. So they enter into the heichel. Upanule mina, and they turn to the right. Umakam hayisham. Alma al Aman. Right there was something which was an Amma by an Amma. Vitava shel shayish. It was covered by tile. This marble. The tabas haisa kavuaba, and there was like a ring, almost like a doorknob to be able to open it up. Kashu magbia, and when you lifted up this tile, v'noitel offer mitachteha, there was earth that was underneath on the other side. V'noisein kedei shiareha al hamayim, and you have to put enough of this earth into this kli until it's visible from the in the water. Says Rashi, sarchlitin shir shenira v'nikra al pnei hamayim. You actually have to see like that there's dirt in the water. Shnemar u'min afar asher yeh b'karka hamishkan yikach hakohen v'nasan el hamayim. It should be put el hamayim. Says Rashi, medluksiv v'nasan b'mayim, into the water, el hamayim, which is mashma shlehe nivul metaycha. We don't want it absorbed inside the water, rather we want it floating on the top because of the language of el hamayim. Says the Gemara, Tana piyoli shel cheres chadasha, divi Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel holds that this kli that's being used over here is actually supposed to be a new vessel. My time Rabbi Shmuel. So gomer kli mitzayra. So what do we went out from mitzayra? Ma'uho and cheres chadasha. That when it comes to the procedure of a mitzayra, when it says that they would shech the bird, one of the birds, into a kli cheres, that kli cheres had to be new. So avkan cheres chadasha. So too, when it came to the sotah, we also require it to be new. But how do we know that that's true when it comes to the din of a mitzayra, that it needs to be a cheres chadasha? The pasuk says v'shachdas asipor ha'echas el kli cheres al mayim chayim, that it should be using this natural spring water. So ma'mayim chayim shlo nessa behen malacha, just like the spring water, it's just continuously flowing. There was no work done with it because it says chayim. So av kli shel nasasa b'malacha, and also referring to the kli itself, also no malacha, therefore it's new. If that's the case, then malahol and mayim chayim av kan mayim chayim. So just like when it comes to mitzvah, we require it to be from a stream, mayim chayim. So that's the same din also by Sotah. So Bishmul hachinami, you're right. According to him, not only does it have to be a new cup, but it also has to be mayim chayim. The Yom Rabbi Yochanan may kior. Rabbi Yochanan says again, it comes from the labor. Rabbi Shmuel Omer may ma'ayin hein. Actually, has to come from spring water. Chacham Omrim mishar may mosein. It can come from any waters at all. So equal mirfach malamav mitzayra. You should be able to ask this question when it comes to mitzayra shechin to an eitz eres ezel v'shnei talas. Maybe the only reason why this whole gzer shava Rabbi Shmuel that learns kli klim and mitzayra, but mitzayra is so much more strict. There's all these other laws attached to it. So maybe that's the reason why it needs a kli chadash. But a sotah which doesn't require all these things, the cedar, the hyssop, etc. So maybe it's not required for it to be a new vessel. So Amar Rabba, Amar Kra, B'kli Chares, Kli Shemartocha Kvar. So it says B'kli Chares, which is mashma, it's talking about a kli that we've already been discussing, which is again that it is new. It says Rashi mashma shekvar husker kli zeh b'makom acher. It's already mentioned somewhere else. U'ma'niyah d'mitzayra. So even though you could ask that question, there's a pircha, but nonetheless, the pasuk itself hints to the fact that it's alluding to mitzvah. Amar Rav lo shanu ela shalonis achmu panav. No, this is going back, says Rashi, according to the sheet of the Rabbanon, that do not require all this, that says that the cheres is even allowed in an old vessel. It has to be that the vessel is not completely blackened because of the fire. Ovonis achmu panav psulum. But if it's been completely burnt out, that the cup is all discolored, then it cannot be used. So my time, aduma demayim. Ma mayim shel nishtanu, av kli shel nishtana. If you look at water, even let's say, water doesn't have to be, according to him, from mayim chayim, but you could see through the water. It didn't change its color. So too, the kli had to have retained its color. Boy Rava, nisachmu v'echzirin l'toich kivshan v'esh ha'esh v'nislavnu mahu. What happens if you have this cup, which you're not allowed to use because it's dark, but let's say you put it into a fire and it causes the cup to get whitened again? What's the din? Mi amrin kivan de idchu. Since you can't use it, O dilma kivan de halder. We don't care about what it was. We'll look at the Metzias right now, so you should be able to use it. Tashmar b'lezer oimer eitz eres ve'ezim shni talas shehivshil b'hen kupasai la'achara psulin. And let's say you take it and you throw it in a basket behind you. It's in his basket behind his puzzle. V'hasam hadre umifshate. Here he could bend back straight, says Rashi. Shma mina hamalacha lo kapid. The malacha we shouldn't be makbid on. Ashnuye kapid. We only care about it's changed. V'katani psulan al makivan de idchu. Must be that once it's not good, it's not good. No hasam de ikluf iklufe. Here it got peeled off, says Rashi. She'ali de hamasoy niskalfu miklipasan de shenuya doli haderbu. This is actually something where it peeled, so therefore it's impossible for it to come back. However, if maybe it does go back into the fire and gets re-whitened again, maybe there we will be lenient. Question 6. The kli cheres, when you put in water, it needs to be new, and also needs to be mayim chayim. Okay, weiter. Nichnas laheichel panu yamin v'chul. So he said that he enters into the heichel and he turns to the right. So my time, because that's what we always do. We always turn to the right side first, with a few rare exceptions. So there was an amma by an amma where the earth was. No tanaban. Min ha'afar asher yeh. Now the pasuk says from the offer which is there. Now it doesn't say in this pasuk the word karka. So because of that, one would maybe think that yachol yisakim b'chutz. Maybe you could take earth from outside the Mishkan, v'yachnes, and bring it inside. That would be good. Talmud Leimer b'karka ha-Mishkan. No, it has to actually be from the karka of the Mishkan itself. It can't be taken from the outside. So you'd be karka Mishkan. If it's from the karka of the Mishkan, yachol yachbor b'kardumois. Maybe you could dig holes with spades and get it out that way. Talmud Leimer asher yeh, that it will be, which let's see if Rashi says that. Fine. So haketzad yesham havi. If you have, then bring. Ein sham tain sham. If you don't have, then you can put it there from the outside. Tanya idach. According to this, you could take it from the outside and bring it in, and it doesn't need to be actually placed on the ground. Bekarka hamishkan, it comes to include that it's supposed to be from the earth, but even karka shilo, nov, v'givon, ube salomim. All these different places are acceptable. Of all these different locations. Okay, if you look in this, let's just finish to fine. Isi ben Menachem Omer ein sarach umam betuma kalu cholak kosiv. When it comes to tuma kala, there's no distinction in the pasuk, which Rashi says lechanis betumas aguf lamikdash. If a person enters while they're coming to mikdash, she'einu b'misas based in el kares. There's no the penalty is kares, betumas eishes ish chamur lo kol shekain. That we should say it is the same. Shehushvu mikdash o mishkan lo baitka. So therefore, you could use all these different things. Im kain matamuna bekarka hamishkan shel yavi mitoich kupasai. It shouldn't come straight from his box, says Rashi. L'toich kli v'yachnes lahechel el mikarkiyosav yitol. It has to come from that ground. The ein sham, if there's no earth there when you open it up, yavi v'yaniach sham, you should bring from outside, and then you put the earth there. V'yachar kach yitlen, and then you could take it. Okay, so let's look at this Rashi on the bottom of Tes Vav Amud Beis. But before doing that, let's look at question 7. Mina ofar asher yeh b'karka hamishkan. L'may hilchas aksiv b'karka hamishkan. Why does it say karka mishkan? Achar deksiv asher yeh di ein sarach litol mi'al gam mizbeach. So the answer is either shul yavi mitoich kupasai. You shouldn't take it directly from your own box. V'gam im ein sham. If there's no dirt there, yavi v'aniach. You could take it, but you need to yaniach sham, and you need to bring it in and put it down there. V'yachach yitlenu. Then only afterwards you can take it. Or it's lahavi karka beis olamim. That's coming to include karka from the other areas of the Beis Hamikdash, including Shiloh, Nov, Givon, all these different places. Okay. Question TB 27, which I got somehow half correct. So the question that is asked here, it doesn't mention those. It doesn't mention those places. So says Rashi, because it was a mishkan. We don't need to include those places. Ikar kosav v'noi v'givon ein mashkin as a saitais. In those places, they didn't have the site to drink. Taha bama havoy. It was a bama. V'lo havi sham aron elwa mizbach anachayshis levadai. All there was the copper mizbeach. V'lo karver behen mincha saita. So the cart, no one brought the mincha site over there. Also, any other chayv of an individual, shein lo zman kavua, which there was no set time, like Karban Pasach, for example, zman kavua. When it came to the Beis Hamikdash, that needed to be included. Shloi timer mishkan nemar v'lo mikdash. Beis Hamikdash Yerushalayim karibe Beis Halomim. The Beis Hamikdash Yerushalayim is called Beis Halomim. V'yishein acher kedushasai heter b'makam acher. V'shul v'shar shechina b'makam acher. Okay, so let's look at how they answer this question. TB 27. Teshilo mishkanhu v'lo tzarach hariboy. It doesn't need a riboy. The noi v'givon ein mashk mehem soitais. Ad kan.